here, when you want to put the place or position of the place in front of your sentence, also the time signal. In Indonesian is more the position or place first, and then after that the time signal. But in English, most of the time, the time signal first, and then the position of the place or the place. Whether in Indonesian or in English, we can call it as SVO, subject, verb, and then object. In Japanese, is SOV, subject, object, and then the verb is at the end of the sentence. And in Japanese, if you want to make your sentence into a question, you just have to add this hiragana letter, which is ka. It means is it? With that, I'm not sure if I should put it as SVO or SOV, because Dutch sentences sometimes consist of two verbs. It can be in four kind of possibilities. The first one is phrase or phrases that consist of at least two words. In that case, the first verb is going to be here, as majority of verb in Dutch sentences is at the second place. And the second verb is going to be at the end of your sentence. That's the academic or formal way to write it and to say it. But casually or in daily conversation, you don't have to wait until the end of the sentence. Sometimes you already kind of get the second verb here. You don't have to be here to finally realize what's the meaning of the sentence. But in daily or casual conversation, it's going to be here most of the times. Second, modal or modals in English can, may, might. We use the same modal for every kind of subject, but in Dutch it's not. You have to choose from at least in this case 3 words based on the subject that we use. For example, can in Dutch is kan, kunt, or kunnen. You have to choose which one that suits your subject. And then can something, can eat, can drink, can sleep. The can itself here. After that, the sleep or the eat or the drink here. In Dutch, it has suffix an, n. Here, again, daily conversation or casual, here. But never expect to be here, right after your first verb, because that's the way it is. How about cold? In Dutch, also it comes in several words, but in this case, only 2, not 3, which are kon and konden, based on its singular or plural subject. Again, kon or konden here, and then could what? Could sing, could dance, could swim. The swim dance is here. Casually, daily conversation, don't have to wait until here. Maybe it's gonna be here. Then this one also maybe can be here. Yeah. Now, will. In Dutch, will is not as will in English. Dutch will is want in English. The second verb will also has suffix an. But the will itself, of course, will not just in one word for every kind of subject, because you have to choose which one that suits the correct one based on your subject. Will is want. You will put the will here or here, and then what you want. Want to do something. Yeah. And the fourth one is when the sentence has sein or have as its first verb. Sein itself is translated as to be. In English is mr, but in Dutch it's not only zijn because there's other to be's. Here I just put zijn. And have, which is have, but it's not only have as have or has, because in Dutch at least you have have, have, hebben, for, based on the subject itself. The zijn or have, it's going to be here, here, and the something here. This is when I am not sure about when you have to use the zijn or have and then something, and then when you have to use the past simple or irregular past. Because sometimes for something that also happened in the past, this is quite similar. Sometimes people use the past simple one, and sometimes people also use the zijn or have and also the something as the second verb. So I'm not sure if Dutch has 1, 2, 3, 4 tenses or 3 stances, because I'm really not sure about the past one. Whether this version and this version the same or different. Now we will learn about base form or infinitive. In English, the base form or infinitive is divided into two, which are V and VS, do, does, but in Dutch, at least into three, based on your subject. First one, you don't have to add anything, is for I, of course Dutch I. And second one, when your base form or infinitive is ended with T or as suffix, it's mostly for he, she, it, Dutch he, she, it. And the base form or infinitive for subject that are plural, for example, we, they, it has an as suffix. And this one is the past simple or irregular past. In English, irregular past or past simple, it just has one verb for or one word for any kind of subject. But in Dutch, at least it is divided into two, because one is used for subjects that are singular, the other one is used for subjects that are plural. The singular one will be ended with the or the, it depends on the verb itself. And the plural subject, it has ten or then as suffix for the past simple or irregular past. Yeah. And in Indonesian, there is no tense because we use the same verb for whether it comes or happening now, later in the future, already done. We just use the same verb. Also for any kind of subject, we use the same verb. We just have to add at least one extra verb, one extra word in front of the verb to make sure it is now, it is happening now, or it is already done, or it passed, or it will happen. Just at least one word in front of the verb. The verb itself the same, whether for present, future, past, past perfect, and for any kind of subject, the verb itself is the same. Yeah, that's why there's no tense. And in English, some people say that there are 12 tenses. Some people say there are 16 tenses in English. In Japanese, there are 2 tenses. One is for the present time, the other one is for the past tense. And now we will learn about how to make your noun into plural. In English, you add the s or es as suffix for your noun. In Japanese, there's no plural noun or nouns. In Dutch, the suffix are in 3 forms based on your noun. an, because it's a and n in Dutch, an, or apostrophe and then s, or s. In Indonesian, you repeat the noun and then you put hyphen in between. But this is the difference in Indonesian. When you write or say 5 houses, in Indonesian you have to say and write it as 5 house. If you say or write it as 5 houses, it's incorrect. In English, you have to say or write 5 houses, in Dutch also, but in Indonesian, no, 5 house. You already know 5 house. So house, 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 5. Yeah. And the Indonesian doesn't have the. That's why it's kind of hard to explain or translate what is the in English into Indonesian. Sometimes it becomes several words that may be quite translated quite well or not, I don't know, but there's no the. The same in Japanese too, there's no the or determiner. But in Dutch, there are 2 the. Most of the times, or mostly, the is used for nature or thing or things that created by God. You use the. But for sure, the is used for plurals. How you know if it's plurals? At least it has suffix an. It means plural or more than one. That's why you put the as the. And the itself in Dutch is het if the noun itself is small or little. How you know if your noun or object is little or small? Is by the suffix y or ch. It means it is small or little. But be careful, you might find y or ch, but it also has s, yes or chis. It means the noun itself is small or little, but it's more than one or plural. That's why you use the. Yes, chis. We will go here to the Japanese one. If you want to say or write to and then the place, in Japanese it's the place first and then after that to. For example, to Japan or to Indonesia. In Japanese, it's gonna be Indonesia to or Japan to. And from someone. In Japanese, it's the someone first and then from. For example, from Ira. It's gonna be Ira from. And in Indonesian, it's also, there is interesting thing here. When you have noun and then adjective, firstly you write or say the noun first. After that is the adjective. For example, it should be purple ball in English, but in Indonesian it's gonna be ball and then purple. Or cute cat, in Indonesian it's gonna be cat and then cute. And this one also, object and then possession. In Indonesian is the object first and then after that the possession. For example, my house or Ira's house in English. In Indonesian it's gonna be house mine or house your, house their, and then house Ira, because that's how it works. And in Indonesian, also several countries in Southeast Asia, we use these terms replacing the base form or infinitive, past simple, irregular, past or past participle, present participle into this one. Of course, it will be translated in Indonesian. I will say it. V1, V2, V3, V-ing or verb-ing. I think that's because we have to find out how to learn it the quickest and easiest way that is a bit logical. That's why you use the V1, V2, V3 or verb-ing. Because in Indonesian there's no tense or tenses. It's gonna be hard to get the idea about how one activity has several verbs and it happens now or later or before. That's why we're kind of common use these terms instead of those words. Now here, Japanese and also Indonesian. No matter how we have this kind of syntax regulation, but most of the times, especially in the daily conversation, the subject itself is just appear one time at the first of the sentence. The sentences after will not consist of the subject, because by telling the subject or mentioning the subject at the beginning of your sentence, at the first sentence, the sentences after, you already know that we are talking about that context. We are talking about that person or that subject. It's going to be attached to that subject. So no need to repeat the subject in the sentences after. But in English and Dutch, of course, if you don't use subject for every sentence, it's going to be a bit awkward or hard to be understood or so. I don't know. But at least in Indonesian and in Japanese also like that. We skip, and sometimes in Indonesian and also in Japanese. In Indonesian we just skip some quotes, unnecessary words. Sometimes we just say, go to the market. When? Tomorrow? Yeah, with my brother. It's already bought. The ball? Yes. What color? Blue? Blue ball? Yes. Yeah, that is kind of Indonesian way to talk, especially in casual or daily conversation. Subject first sentence. After that, you might not hear the subject being called or told anymore because it's already, you already know the context is the same. And based on that, of course, if we want to use the subject or so, sometimes in daily conversation, casually, the subject itself can be in the middle or in front or at the beginning or almost at the end or even at the end of your sentence. Because no matter how we have this kind of regulation or syntax or so. It's just for formal stuff or academic occasion, but in daily conversation, mostly casually, it's kinda mixed everywhere, and sometimes, most of the time, the subject is kinda rarely being told over and over. Yeah. And this one I'm not sure if I already mentioned or not, because I will not edit this one, so I will just repeat one more time. In Japanese, if you want to make your sentence into a question, you add this hiragana letter. It's ka. It means is it? Yeah. How to change or make your sentence into a question one. Thank you.